peux nous raconter l'histoire de Mortelle Randonnée?
C'était une commande. Un producteur de Madrid, Phil Donen, vous le connaissez, c'est lui qui a écrit Johnny Guitar. Il voulait des histoires, des sujets pour Charlton Heston. Alors, j'ai inventé cette histoire, je l'ai écrite assez vite, mais bien sûr, Heston ne l'aimait pas. Alors, tout le projet était abandonné. Alors, moi, je me suis dit, l'histoire est là, le dialogue, le personnage, je vais faire un roman. C'est ça que j'ai fait. Et puis, c'était acheté par Gallimard, qui a traduit en Série Noire. Audiard, Michel l'a lu, il a trouvé ça génial, il a acheté des droits.
Le bureau de l'œil se trouvait dans un coin, près de la fenêtre. L'unique tiroir contenait son nécessaire de couture, son rasoir, ses stylos et ses crayons, son 45, 2 chargeurs, un recueil de mots croisés en édition de poche, son passeport, un tube de colle, une minuscule bouteille échantillon de whisky et une photo de sa fille.
C'est très difficile d'adapter ce qu'écrit Marc. Il y a beaucoup de plans différents, il joue avec le temps. Beaucoup de choses traversent la tête des protagonistes. Non, c'est pas facile. Ce qui me plaisait beaucoup dans Mortelle Randonnée, c'était bien sûr, bon, il y a l'originalité du personnage de l'œil c'est toujours assez intéressant de. Enfin, c'est quand on fait du cinéma, un personnage qui s'appelle l'œil, c'est pas mal. Mais surtout, c'était cette histoire qui parlait d'un père qui cherchait son enfant. Ça, je trouvais que c'était magnifique. C'était quasiment grec, quoi.
The challenge for a writer of black novels, it seems to me, is both to have lived it and to survive it, because the job of a writer is to survive and record. If you're dead, you can't record anything. You're living something which you're recording at the same time. You're always two people. You're the participator in the event. You suffer like everybody else. If you didn't, what you wrote would be no good. You suffer, and as you record your own agony. That's what you do as a writer. It's no better or worse than what other people do. They suffer, they agonize the same as anybody does, the same as I do. But they don't write it, that's all. They sing it, they feel it, they shout it, scream it, and drink it. Alcohol, look, in the black novel, nearly everybody I know, take 3, Chandler, Thompson, Goodies. They were all drunks. All of them. All 3. Where did they spend their lives? In bars. I spent a third of my life in bars, as you well know. It's not for nothing. It's not just because I enjoy drinking, which I do, but it's not just that. I dissect every single thing that goes on in any bar that I'm in. It's a place where a bar, for me, is made for observation and participation, often. If the dialogue's no good, the book's no good. That's for sure. Oh, everything is in the dialogue. If you don't hear what the girl says, if you don't understand why she says it, or why the man is so angry, then you've understood nothing. Because you haven't understood the people.
I think he's elements of myself. People have said, who know me, that they recognize Laidlaw in me. But when I started to write, I started with a basic belief that you can never capture anybody, the complete person, on the page. They're too various, they're too multiform. You can't do that. So having started from that, I use any elements I find from people I've met that I want and add to them and distort them and change them. So Laidlaw is, I suppose, myself maybe with a facelift and with certain alterations in the heart and head. But many of his thoughts are my thoughts because I find it's a good way to speak from behind a mask, you know, so that many of the things Laidlaw thinks and says are things that I would think and say and things that I believe. But there are also vast differences. I think I hope he's somewhat more depressive than I am. So I chose a policeman who has to, as Laidlaw says in one of the books, other people can read a terrible event in the newspaper and put it in the bin. He's got to confront it. He's got to look at it, try to understand it. And I wanted to write about Glasgow, which is, I think, a marvellous city. And putting all of these things together, I thought he has to be a policeman. He has to be... I mean, the book began with, sounds a bit like Jeanne d'Arc, but with voices in my head. I heard the voice speaking, and I didn't know what I just heard some of the things he said, some of his attitudes, and I noted them down. And eventually I realised this man has to be a policeman. But the point of the Laidlaw books is that he's not a policeman who happens to be a man. He's a man who happens to be a policeman. And the key is the nature of Laidlaw. The key to the books is the nature of Laidlaw, what he is like. And I've often thought that I don't read a lot of crime fiction because I get reality starvation about page 3. Most of it I just don't believe. When I read Agatha Christie, I think, oh my, come on, murder at the vicarage, and you know.